Good morning. Sorry there, I get a little distracted. Today is the 24 hours of Le Mans, and I was trying to. It just started just a minute ago, and I was just watching. Well, I guess officially it started at 9 a.m. French time, French time, or in France. I think they're about 6 hours ahead of us. I think. See what would 2, 3. Maybe they're 5 hours. Maybe they're just 5 hours ahead of us. Anyway, if anybody shows up, good morning, Tina McNeil. 6 hours, okay. It's what part of France? So France is really big. It might be 4:02. I didn't think they started this race that late. I thought they started it at 2 o'clock actually, so I'm not sure. Maybe they started it. Good morning, Miss Carol. Oh, she retracted something before I could even look at it. Tina, Dave. Oh, there, she redid it. I don't know why. Why'd you redo that? Something spelled wrong? I know how teachers are about spelling. But Dave popped in and popped out. I don't know. He may be gone already. He was there. I didn't even see him. He left a text and was gone before I knew had been here. So how is everyone today? We have it's not different, totally different, but slightly different show today. And if you looked at if you saw the thumbnail, you might have a hint as to what or why. I just realized something's changed on my computer. It's in dark mode. Everything's dark or blacked out. The screens are all. Well, I'm good. I'm pretty good anyway. My stomach's a little bit iffy. I've got this strange thing going on that I hate to even talk about. I probably shouldn't talk about, but if I belch for any reason, I don't know why I am, but if I do, because I really haven't eaten anything, it tastes like boiled egg. It tastes like I've been eating eggs. Yeah, like boiled eggs or something, which is kind of nasty. That's why I probably shouldn't even have said it. Oh no, that's terrible, Carol. I hate. Oh, I don't. I don't wish that on anybody. Having suffered from that or much the same thing most of my getting to be most of my life now. Okay, I just screwed. There it is. I thought I just messed up. So we're gonna have a special guest today, sort of in spirit at least. Uh, Mark is doing. If I say this, it'll be taken the wrong way. Let's just say he's doing good work, and he is at a convention, and he's in a booth, or I guess well, I don't know if a convention may not be the right word, but he's in a booth, and they're talking about pronghorn antelope management and um, saving the migration corridor routes and things because of the current added pressure that everything's under out there on public lands. But we don't have to get into that today. But that's why he's not here. So I scrambled around yesterday trying to come up with an idea, and I thought about doing. I started to do a show about. Oh, and I found some books that were still packed away. Believe it or not, I'm still looking for another bookshelf, and they're my Pat McManus books. But I started to talk about the history of American motorcycles, and I thought, no, that's probably not gonna. You guys might not care about that. It, I find it interesting or fascinating because after around the turn of the century, there maybe were as many as 300 motorcycle manufacturers in this country. By the time the Great Depression hit, I think there were less than 100. But after the Great Depression, there were two. And then there was just one. After 1954, Harley Davidson was the only American motorcycle left. And it's fascinating the drop and how precipitous it was at some point. I mean, we went from 300 or even more than 300 down to 100. That's pretty big, drastic. And then we went down to one. Now we have two that I would consider um, solid. Indian has made a comeback under a different manufacturer, and they're doing well. And of course, Harley's still around. But then there's some boutique manufacturers, people that make custom stuff around. There's those kind of people. I'm looking for a story, so bear with me just a tiny bit. I got busy with something else a few minutes ago and forgot to do this. This guy's so funny. Um, I'm looking for one of my favorite stories. One that I probably misquote all the time, but one that I think is very important. I know we've talked about Pat McManus before, but if you've never read any Patrick McManus, I highly recommend it. He is just one of the funniest human beings alive. Was alive. He just wrote the most. Maybe it's because of how I grew up and where and stuff I did growing up, and like Mark and I did, and he writes about that. He writes about it in a funny way, and yeah, it's over the top exaggeration in many ways, but so much of it is true. It's just like he's got one story in this particular book, Never Sniff a Gift Fish, called, and this is the title of it, Poof, No Eyebrows. See, I can associate with that because when as a kid, one of the things I undertook in life, because I just was convinced I could do it, was create gunpowder. I never did successfully, but I tried, and that's what Poof No Eyebrows is all about. The man who notices everything. No, the man who notices just things. Well, Some people have accused me of that. I have a couple more books, so I must not have the right one yet. I really thought it was this one. Bear with me, guys. I know this is not. Um, I'm going to introduce my guest in just in a moment. Yeah, I must not have the right book. Dang it. All right. So I scrambled around thinking I'd like to come up with another co-host today or a guest, and who came in? Hey, Dave, welcome in or welcome back in. Good to see you. Yeah, Carol, that is something I've been getting used to for about the last 25 years, and I thought I had it under control for the first. Actually, it's been longer than that. For the first 25, I thought I had a grasp on it. And then I realized that, yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm probably not going to make it. I'll be lucky to hang on to what I got. Me too. Well, not the gunpowder, but I thought I could build a great fire. Well, I've done that too. And that's another good way to lose eyebrows and get in just a little too close. So, without further ado, I'm going to welcome in our guest. Voice only. She won't do a photo. She won't do a camera. Brenda. And hopefully she's still there and can hear me.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
I had to make her a special. Hey, Nico, welcome in. I had to make her a special deal that I would not show her face. Well, or not put her on camera anyway. I guess she didn't actually say don't show my face, but
It's too early.
anyway, it was somebody. This way, at least you get enough. And the reason is, I'm going to show a bunch of pictures and slides from one of our Disney World trips a few years back, and I thought she would have useful commentary. She has, another perspective.
Hi, Tina. Hi, Carol. Hi, Nico. Hi, Dave. I miss anybody? Hi,
There's
Chuck.
So anyway, that's what we're going to do today, and it's a little different because I don't usually do Disney on my show. But everybody, most of you guys know that I am, especially, and we were very active Disney people for a long, long time, and a few things happened that kept us from going for a while. So we haven't been in a while, but we used to go a couple times a year, and at least, and once or twice we probably went more than that, and we started taking the kids there back in '92, and it was the first time we ever stayed at a Disney resort. And but that's not the first time we'd ever been. Brenda and I first visited Walt Disney World in 1976. Actually, it might
Yeah,
have been the fall of 1975. When did your dad and mom bring you? That was October, wasn't it? When they
you were
brought
in
when
school.
you, huh?
You were in school.
Yes, but they brought you down to Florida to see me.
Right.
So I think that would have been the October of '75 was the first time you were ever there then. Because
Correct.
I drove over there and spent the day at Disney World. And back then, it was just the Magic Kingdom, and there was only two hotels and the campground. There was the Contemporary, there was Polynesian, and then there was the campground. And that day, we both, at some point, I either said or we both said that we wanted to come back. If we ever got married, which we obviously did, we wanted to go there for our honeymoon, and we wanted to stay at a hotel because I mean it was just not overwhelming, but it was for a couple of country kids. It was probably pretty exciting, and so that led to us going more. Now we didn't get back until I went a few times after that because I was in school down there for a couple of years, but we didn't get back with the family until 1992 because work and life and having kids and all kinds of things got in the way. But 92, we took the girls down for the first time and we stayed at the Caribbean beach or Caribbean beach, whatever how you say it. And we stayed there for 4 days, I think, or five. And we that was our really first experience at not wanting to go home, just wanting to stay. And the girls had a great time, and I carried Kelly around a lot because she was little, and and then so the next year we went back and stayed at the Contemporary, and it was like the grandest vacation we were ever going to take, and maybe the biggest one, certainly the biggest one we'd ever taken. And we were going to be there for a total of 10 days. And back then you could get in the Contemporary fairly, eh, not cheap, but it was much more reasonable. And that was the year that halfway in, I found out I lost my job. So, needless to say, losing a job and going to school, that kind of slowed things down for a little bit, but we found ways and then we still went. And so, this particular trip, though, is after the girls were were married or had steady boyfriends or whatever, as Jennifer said, we're living in sin. That's a long story, but anyway, we took them down and we went down, and I found I don't have all my pictures. I have thousands probably of pictures that are on slides, and I still don't have all those processed, and but I've got something. But once digital cameras came in, I latched onto that quick because I knew that was a easy way to share photos. So these are all photos I took, and most of these are in 2007. There's a few at the end that might be 2009, and I wasn't using a phone then. I had a camera, but if I could borrow, beg, or steal a camera, that's what I took because I knew that once. Yeah, we were already together, Tina. We met in 1971 or two, Christmas of 71, 72, and 71. It would have been 71 because in 72 I went to Philmont Scout Ranch for a week, and we were, or 2 weeks or whatever I was gone, and because I remember Brenda was at the mall when I got back, I think. Anyway, that's when we met. We were dating in high school, and we have been together since we were 14. So a long time. And but we went to Disney in 75, and we were hooked. I'd actually been before that. That wasn't my first trip. They opened the Magic Kingdom opened in 72 or 71. And I was down there, I think, in 73, and then we were there in 75. I might have been there in 74 too. Not sure, but
You
you
got
were,
to do a
yeah, we were babies.
you got to do a flyover.
Yes, I did. That was one of those trips I went down that I've talked about a few times. I flew over Walt Disney World while parts of it were still under construction, and a small plane, and took a few pictures, which were black and white photos, and I've got those. So they got ruined the photos I had made, 8 by 10 photos I made of what was down there, got ruined in a flood. But I still have the negative somewhere. So someday maybe I'll get those reprinted. There's a couple of them. I'm sure they all weren't that good, but some of them were good. I was brand new in photography back then too, but was really loving it. I didn't have any special equipment. I had a 35 millimeter, I think a Petrie that I borrowed, that someone I knew. Um, I don't know if I knew him from Scouts or the church or wherever we were at the time. Anyway, he loaned it to me, and that's what got me hooked on photography. I get hooked on a lot of things, but so without further ado, let me see if I can make this. So Disney World opened in '71. Is what I thought. So I was there in '73. Would have been my first trip down then, because I wasn't there in '72. I was in New Mexico. Now watch me screw all this up because Brenda's here and I'm trying to figure it all out again. And that's just what'll happen because
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. Okay. I think I got this right. I should be able to handle this. Share a screen. So that was my thumbnail. So I don't know how many of you picked that out, but that's Lady and the Tramp during what was one of the early, maybe even the first flower and garden show that Brenda and I went to, which was, I think we might have been at the very first one, babe. Do you remember? I mean, I don't know what year that started, but we were at one of the very
Yes,
first flower and garden festivals.
we were.
And that's where this picture came from. And this picture was kind of significant. The topiaries, I mean, of Lady and the Tramp were kind of significant to, I guess, to me, because as a young romantic writer to be or something, I have no idea. I always imagined myself as kind of a tramp, and Brenda is the lady. And if you actually knew us growing up, you'd probably think that she was much more proper in many ways. I was the wild kid on a motorcycle with long hair and loud motorcycle, and rode ripping roaring into the driveway and picking her, and a car that wasn't much quieter actually. My first car was a small Triumph sports car that I bought off some guy he used in his driveway, and got it working. And um, once she was allowed to ride with me in it, which was a few years after I got it, I think. So everything I had seemed to be loud and different, and I had a lot of hair back then. So her
I
mom,
had more.
approved. Let's just put it. I don't think her dad did either, for that matter. It
There
took
was
a
a
while
hole in the floor.
to do
I could
what?
see. I could see the road when we would ride. There was a hole in the floor.
That floor, yes, it had a rusted hole in the floorboard on your side, not on mine. What year was that? We were there at Flower and Garden in '97. Well, probably sometime in that neighborhood. Actually, so this slide may not be from that. We were there. I took pictures. So this slide may not be from that early, because this may be one of my digital pictures, which would have been after 2000, I think. I can't remember the first time I took a digital camera down there. Because I lugged my 35 millimeter gear with all my lenses and tripods and everything down there for several years. It would have been early, Tina. It went sometime. We were there in '97, a couple of times, '98, '97. So it could have been that one. When do you remember when you took your mom down, babe?
It was for Mother's Day,
Yeah,
and we both looked very very younger, a lot younger.
yeah, but I don't remember what year it was. Do you remember the year?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, her and her mom went down for she took her mom down to Disney World for Mother's Day one year. And they had a Mother's Day brunch there at Epcot, and you took her to that, and
Yes,
you guys, explored the Flower and garden show, which I'm glad you guys got to do that. And that
Yep.
was the second or third year after they had it. I'm almost positive we were at the very first one, but I don't remember. I don't. It was if that was '97, then that's the year we were there. I'm pretty sure it was the first one. Like I said, I've got slides, and I'll eventually get them out. I hope and figure that out. But it was one of those years. So housekeeping, hit the like button or the not like button. Show me you've been here. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. And realize I'm not a usual Disney. I'm just not opposed to Disney. I just don't do it a lot. So many people that can do it live, and they're down there all the time, and I just can't do that anymore. And moving right along. So this particular trip, now I have to put a caveat in here because I may get severely reprimanded when this is all said and done. But I made a decision. I made an executive decision when I was working on this. There is these are the lower left hand picture are our daughters, Kelly on the left, Jennifer on the right, and that's Kelly's first husband. So you get the idea. He's not around anymore. So she might not appreciate me putting him in here, but he was on this trip, and I couldn't. I mean, I had to take pictures out if I wasn't going to show him on the trip, and it was just. So I put him in there, and hopefully Brenda probably will kill me too. But
No.
anyway, he's moved on. She's moved on. She has a new husband. Everything's different now. So, um, but this was the reason I put this in here, and one of the reasons I brought Brenda on board today was this was a hey, this was a nightmare of a plane ride for us to get to Disney World. We had made two decisions for this. One, we paid for this, so got the best cheapest tickets we could get, which was on Allegiant Airlines out of Knoxville. They used to make trips. You could get round trip tickets for $150 or something. They were really pretty cheap, and you could go down there one way for about 48 or 49, I think. And we used them a couple of times, and most of the time they worked out. And normally we took them down directly to the big airport in Orlando, Kissimmee area, the main international airport. But this trip we did something different. We flew Allegiant to Sanford Airport, which is on the east side of Orlando, and we're going to catch a shuttle bus from there over to our hotel at Walt Disney World. And we were hotel. I say hotel. We were actually staying in the campground in one of the cabins. And from the time we got to the airport, nothing went right. And I have other pictures somewhere. I didn't put them in there. The children do not look anywhere nearly this happy and fresh. By the time we got on that airplane, you can see the look on Brenda's face. I'm almost thinking she's thinking, what did they say? Because the airplane kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And finally, they had to change out the airplane. At being a mechanic, I suspect there was a maintenance issue they couldn't fix. So they had to finally change out the plane. And by the time we left the airport here in Knoxville, like I'm sure a lot of small cities and places, closes up at like 8 o'clock. If you're there past 8 o'clock, you don't have anything. There's no amenities. There's bathrooms are open, and some of the places where you can buy a Coke or machines are open, but that's it. And the rest of the airport goes dark. Or the rest of the building goes dark because all their flights are normally gone by 7 or 8 o'clock. Well, this particular trip, we were going to leave later than normal because of all these arrangements. And I think work arrangements so everybody could get there and be there. We made a late flight, and We got to the airport. I think Brenda, I think you set this up where somebody picked us up, took us to the airport, and dropped us off, so we didn't have to worry about our car being in parking and all that kind of stuff. But this delay just kept going and kept going and kept going. And the bad part about that was, um, we were going, like I said, we were going to Sanford, and we had a van that was going to pick us up in Sanford. And they were supposed to pick us up like at 9 p.m. or something. And, we knew we were going to get to the hotel late that evening, but that wasn't that unusual. We drove down a lot and got there late, and got there real early or got there late many times. But um, so we were going to get there a little bit later than normal, but not that late. So we weren't sure the van was going to be there when we finally got, if and when we ever got there. So finally, after multiple delays and multiple saying, "Oh yeah, we're about ready to go. We'll start loading in 30 minutes or something," and no, it's changed. I mean, it was bad. And trust me, everybody there was much disgruntled. But you tell us that they never watched those swearing. I will, Tina. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm pretty sure. And we had Kelly. Brenda was talking to Kelly earlier, and I don't think she knows anything about this. So, because I was thought about inviting her onto the show too, and she's much more social media friendly, so she probably would have let me show her face on the screen. I don't know. Anyway, we finally got on the airplane, and we're, you know, I actually thought Kelly had a pillow around her neck, but it's just her hands and her arms. So, the blinds are pulled, and everybody's getting ready to turn the lights off and try to sleep on the way to Orlando. It was frustrating, Carol, and it was also very tiring because the airports aren't the most comfortable places. But then when they closed down, I didn't know. I did not. And we flew out of Nashville and worked in Nashville for years, and that airport practically never shut down. So when this one turned off the lights, I was surprised because I didn't know they did that. Especially not when they still had flights coming and going. They had a few flights that come in and arrive, and you can go out. But like I said, all the restaurants are all there's not that many, but the restaurants are closed. The souvenir shops are closed. And the only thing they have are a few Coke machines and that kind of stuff. And you walk around and entertain yourself for 4 or 5, 6 hours. It was bad.
I
But
felt
no,
terrible.
do what?
I felt bad because I had set all of it up.
Yeah, but it wasn't your fault. I mean, you couldn't help it.
I know.
But now that you've taken the blame, I'll start using that. Oh, and notice they've all got shirts on that match. Did we do that or did they do that?
We did that.
Everybody's got on Pirates of the Caribbean shirts. I believe, I don't know if that's the year one of the movies had come out, but that T-shirt, I like that T-shirt. I don't know if I still got that T-shirt or not.
I'm sure you do.
Hope, well, surely I do, but I don't know where it is. Anyway, notice that in the background of the very first picture, upper left, daylight. Brenda's standing in the window looking out over the tarmac, daylight. Can't tell in this picture of Kelly in the airplane, but I can assure you it is not daylight anymore. And then when we finally arrived at our hotel or airport at the campground, notice it's daylight. Now, none of that happened on the same day. So you can kind of figure out we were up all day at the airport till, I don't know. I think we finally arrived in Orlando after midnight, maybe 12:30 or something like that. The flight down there is only a couple of hours or three maybe, and um, but maybe it was 1 o'clock. I don't know. But no, it was later because by the time we got to by the time we got to Disney World, it was after 4 a.m. In fact, it might even been after 5. And as you can see, it's daylight. And we went to if you've ever been to the campground up front, there's a check-in station center cabin, and we went there and hung out for a while. And we were able to finally get checked in, and got dropped off at our cabin. And I threw a couple of pictures of the porch. There's a picnic. If you, I don't know. I don't even know if these cabins exist anymore. I don't think any of them do. They've changed them all. But they used to have a front porch with a table and a grill on the front, and we're kind of nice. I mean, they were we enjoy the campground. We've been there many times, with the exception of maybe being in a tent and getting rained on a couple of times. We always enjoyed being there. I did. I think you do, Brenda. Um,
Yes.
it it
Funny.
we it just felt good.
I got to tell a funny story.
Okay, tell a funny story.
The back bedroom had bunk beds, so one of the couples had to do bunk beds.
That's true. We got the Murphy
That was
bed.
Kelly.
Yeah, that's right. The I forgot about that. In fact, I was thinking about that earlier. I was trying to remember how the how that was arranged, two beds or what. But we slept on this bed right here in this lower left. That's a Murphy bed. Pull it down, and that's where we slept. But the cool one of the of course now see I've already got a TV on, because usually
Of
if
course.
I'm at a Disney resort, I'm watching the Disney what to do today videos constantly as they cycle through the process.
Yes, you
And I just
do.
go ahead and say that again.
I said, yes, you do.
I just noticed that television looks really old by today's standards, and we had one that looked kind of similar to that, I think. Anyway, so we finally got there, and I've got some more pictures. I think this was one of the first times where well, since we never stayed in a cabin and had the amenities, sink and a kitchen and all that, we saw some neat things that we weren't used to, such as all this towel art and washcloth art and all this on this was the kitchen. There's this arrangement, and in all the windows were all these critters made out of chickens and cats, and I don't know what this one is, made out of the washcloths and the towels and all that kind of stuff. And they do that on beds and stuff in other resorts, but I never seen it done as much as it was here. I mean, they had stuff everywhere, which we thought was really cool. And the ones on the and this lower, I don't know. Tina, you can give me an opinion. I thought these were elephants for a long time, but now I think maybe they're hound dogs. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, floppy ears and the face, and I'm thinking those may be dogs. How? Oh, the one on this one on the left might be something else, because it does kind of look like it has a trunk. But this one I think's a dog, maybe. What do you think, Brenda?
Oh, I thought they were elephants too.
Well, I always thought it looked like an elephant with big ears, but now I'm thinking this one might be a hound dog. Hey, John, welcome in. Nope, elephants, hounds' noses aren't that long. Okay, we can go with that. That's what we always thought they were anyway.
Could be a dachshund.
Could be a dachshund, that's true. Well, we did too, Carol. I mean, that's another. If you've ever stayed on property, it's one of the cool things you run into is some of that kind of stuff. And we're you got to remember, we never when we first started going to some of these hotels, we never stayed in anything like that. So we weren't used to that. But and this is the Murphy bed in the front room with our suitcase on it, and one of my famous favorite Disney cups here in the corner. And then I just threw in a few pictures of things you can do at the campground. I mean, the horse stables are there. The Circle D Ranch trail rides, which I believe they still do. And this is a dark picture on the upper left, but that's the old Crockett Tavern slash Trails Inn restaurant, which is no longer there. It's strictly window service, I think now, takeout or carry out or whatever you want to call it. I don't. They don't do this. Was a buffet for years and years, and honestly, it was one of our favorite places to go eat, especially if you wanted a good breakfast to fill up on before you hit the dusty
Trail.
trail of Magic Kingdom. You had something to say?
No, I just said trail.
The they I don't know it. We like the food, and I don't know. We just always enjoyed eating there.
We
We
had
used
the
to go,
dining plan, which was wonderful.
yeah, back then. And that, I guess this was when they started doing that. These trips we took with the kids, we had dining plans, didn't we?
Yes.
And one of them, I don't know if it was this one or the next other one, we went with them on a Christmas trip. One of them, the dining plan was included
Yes.
at a really good price. I mean, it wasn't that we were paying this huge amount of money to stay in a big hotel. I think we were at Dixie Landings, or the Dixie Landings part of Port Orleans, and
Right.
I think we stayed there, and we had. I mean, it that included all of our meals, and it was good. Back then, you could get anything you wanted pretty much. There was very few limitations on the dining plan in the early years. I know it's all different now, but back then it was pretty wide open. And I'm sad that's gone, because that restaurant, we would actually go over there once or twice. If we were staying somewhere else and we were there for, a few days, we'd go over there and eat at least once. And we also went to because we also like to go here, Pioneer Hall, and the Whoop De Doo Review. And again, maybe we're just that country and cornball, but I always enjoyed that a lot. I know some people said they didn't care for it, or didn't, even back then, didn't like the food, or didn't like. I mean, but we always had a ball there, and we ate there a couple of times, I guess, over the course of the years. The one thing we didn't ever get to do was a luau at the Polynesian, and I regretted that, because uh, we wanted to do that, and we kept putting it off, and then bang, it's got, it was gone. So that was one thing we didn't do. We tried to do at least one special thing every trip when we went, and a lot of times it became just Brenda and I, or maybe Brenda and I and the girls, and then these couple of trips we took other. Well, once they got married, it was kind of hard to take them, not take the boys. Not that we might not have done that. But anyway, this was the old Pioneer Hall stuff, and some of this has changed too now. I, I can't speak to what all they've done because I hadn't been there, but I know they've changed some of it. Tina, our very first trip down, we stayed at the Caribbean Beach. I already said that, I guess, but we liked that, and we liked the Dixie Landings area, and of course, then they changed that all to Port Orleans or whatever, right? Yeah, Riverside and whatever the lower end is, or the upper end, whatever. Anyway, back then, that's when Dixie Landings, Port Orleans became. That was the biggest resort they had then, as far as rooms. I think that was before when they first. That was in the early '90s when they opened that, and that was before all the All Star stuff opened. They were bigger. Anyway, and of course, because it's me, I always put transportation into things. And there were buses that got you around the campground in and out, and we got pretty good at figuring that stuff out. If you stay there a few days, you figure that kind of thing out. And you catch these friendship boats over to the Magic Kingdom. And if you wanted to take your time, you could take one of these small boats, which we did quite often, over to the Contemporary and get out there and get on the monorail. We did that a lot if we were going to Epcot, or sometimes we just did it to go to the Magic Kingdom. Or you could get on some of these, and you might have to get off one and get on another one, but you could go all the way around to like Polynesian and You could eventually get to the Magic Kingdom on one of these boats, even from Dixieland, even from the campground, if you played it right. The only thing that was ever bad to me about this, a boat travel, you almost always had to stand in the sun, which could be very intense. But the campground bus stations always had, covered stops, so that wasn't bad. And I believe I may have some of these slides and pictures mixed up, but this was in this group. I don't know if this was the year that Little Mermaid had come out, or if this is what they were doing at Legoland, but they had the sharks and they had the crab. And of course, now that looks like a Toy Story dinosaur at the bottom. And then I always loved that dragon at the top. Does anybody know, are any of these characters still there? I think they've changed all this.
Got to make room for the new stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what I figure too. Oh, and that was back when Fulton's Crab House was there. That was a change. The first time when we first started going, that was the Lily Bell, and it was named after Walt's wife.
I took Mom there.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? I forgot about that.
We also uh, did a show. What's the it? Not right to say it, but it's circus like. Circus, yeah. She
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
yeah, we always liked theirs. We've been to a couple of their shows in Knoxville. I just think I highly recommend Cirque du Soleil. They're just magnificent shows. So here we go, and just these are just a bunch of general family pictures as you're moving around, you know, family groups. They got the girls at the this is at the contemporary, and we just went in there just to take this picture because we had pictures of them when they were much younger, and we got another picture here. And Main Street, the center, not I don't know, do they call that the town square, the town circle? Um, and again on the boat and on the monorail. And I thought this one up here looks like we're all playing poo sticks in the moat. That's one of the bridges between the Magic, or not the Magic Kingdom, from the hub into Liberty. Oh crap! Where the Hall of Presidents and all that is. What is that called? Not Liberty Bell, Liberty Square, I guess. Liberty Square. And so I thought that just looked like we were playing um, poo sticks. Oh, Texas, they did Cirque du Soleil a couple of times. The stuff those people can do and how good they are at it is just fascinating to me. Highly recommended. And they have a lot of their shows online now on YouTube that are free. At least I think they are. I don't pay for them. And if you've never seen them, I highly recommend you look for them. They're really, really impressive. So back then, this was also when they were still doing a lot of the street acting at Hollywood Studios. Of course, Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land area wasn't there. And but this was the year that they did the Lights Motor Action car stunt show, which we went to because Kelly's ex at that, her husband at that time, really liked cars and stuff. So he really liked that. I think we all enjoyed it, but it was really different because what they do, they took out part of the backlot tour, I guess, to do that. Of course, the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular or whatever wasn't it still MG? Yes, it was, Nico. It was still MGM back then. You're right. I can't remember what year that changed, but I'm pretty sure it still was. And I just said the studios because since it changed. But they also had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, When the kids were little, we enjoyed that. Of course, the kids were bigger here, and I think they probably still enjoyed it. Star Tours. This was the only thing you had that even talked about Star Wars back then. Was these uh, ats or whatever these particular war machines are, and Star Tours, which was always fun. We liked the stunt show, and I always liked Indiana Jones too. And I don't know what they do there now. Does anybody know? I think that has changed. MGM Studios was changed to HS Hollywood Studios in '08. So we were there in '07. So it was the year before that. I'm pretty sure all these pictures were '07 until I get to the end, and then I think they're '09. I've just got a few of them, and I have them separated, so I kind of know where they're at. I didn't mix them up. I think, could be wrong. These were all in my folder labeled '07. I know that. And this was that show, these top two pictures, and you can see that Kelly and Josh are pretty focused on what's going on down there in this stunt city. It's projected in that upper left picture. And then we got a picture of Kermit the Frog, or a statue of Kermit the Frog, excuse me. And then they have or had um, the I guess Christmas area in the studio back then was, and they had the wonderful It's a Wonderful Life shop and that kind of stuff, because we had pictures of leaning on a snowman in the middle of the summer and that kind of stuff. Too bad they weren't snowmen; they'd been a lot cooler. This trip was hot. I know there's a couple of pictures in here of me wearing a bandana, and that was because I was just the sweat was just rolling off my head constantly. And there Brenda is in her pink little pirate hat, ears.
We were trying on all kinds of different hats. There's pictures of us somewhere doing that.
Don't think I included any of those, but I believe I have those. There's hats wearing Mickey Sorcerer hats. There's uh, Mad Hatter. There's all kinds of stuff. And again, this is just how it looked back then. I mean, but anybody recognize this top left picture? I'll look in the chat and just see. Yeah, Nico, I'm pretty sure it was in what was at one when we first started going there. It was part of the back lot tour, or the area. It might have been, and it might have been in the area where the original Osborne Lights was set up at one time. I'm not sure about that, but it was somewhere back in that area of the park. And I got there's just one picture of the monorail going into the. That's not a very good one, but into the contemporary, and of course the Grand Floridian, which honestly I always thought was pretty, but we never really thought we'd stay there because it just wasn't our thing. I mean, we're campground kids. I mean, why
Not
wouldn't
our
we
cup of tea.
go? What?
Not our cup of tea.
Not our cup of tea. Even though they have tea, we did that too. I've dozens of pictures of Chuck modeling hats. Cool, Tina. You should share those sometime. Um, I can't help take pic when I'm on. I just one of the things I know everybody is in a hurry when you go to Disney, but I was always more of a slow down, enjoy myself kind of person, and so I really enjoyed riding boats as transportation and stuff like that because um, I don't know, it was just more relaxing. So I don't know if anybody said, but that top left picture is the cockpit of the monorail, the front, and back then on several occasions, we got to ride up front. Hot dog, Tina. And they would let you in. I don't know if I may have another picture of us sitting up there. But if you ask, and course, there was never a sign that said ask and you can ride in the front. We would just ask, or the girls would ask. The girls got to where they would run up and ask every time we got on the monorail, hey, can we ride up front? And we got to ride up there several times. And I even took two of my buddies down there one year to show them around. And we just rode transportation around one night, and I showed them all the parks and stuff. We didn't go in anything, and maybe the hotels. And I don't know, we might have eaten somewhere, but we rode. We got to ride in the front of the monorail, and we all got licenses. We all got a license to say we were official pilots for the monorail, and I've carried that around for years. And I wish I knew. I've got it, and it was in that wallet that I've lost, Brenda. I don't know if it still is or not.
Got to find that.
Pretty sure I've got it put up somewhere, but that was signed and everything, but it was official. That that is a neat train to drive, and those drivers are more than just simply park employees or cast members. I mean, they have to be certified in public transportation and fall under and since it is considered a train, so there are regulations and rules that they have to do that go far beyond just ride operator. Hey, Rhonda, welcome in. Glad you made it. We're talking about a Disney World trip for change. And the person you cannot see in the window there is Brenda. Let me hide that. I always forget to do that. Sorry, guys. And these pictures aren't that great, but I took them for a reason. One, we love to go to Ohana. That was just one of our favorite places to eat. But I also always loved this centerpiece of the lobby in Polynesian, because it's back when the waterfall and stuff was still there. And I don't know if they'd started downsizing it. They may have already started downsizing it when I took these pictures. But I just always loved that. I hate that that's gone. I really do. I just thought that was so unique and so. And it made it feel cooler on a really hot day. Probably all in my head, but water does that though. Water gives you that illusion of coolness, I think. But they had a bunch of beautiful orchids growing in that area. And then we also went. We did obviously did a bunch of. Like I said, these meals were covered under the dining plan back then. So we got to do these. Which why we did several things like this. We went to Ohana. This is the Living Seas in Epcot, which I think we enjoyed it. I don't remember anybody complaining. And they can't see it that well, but that upper left, that's the aquarium. You can see the fish and stuff inside the aquarium. And of course, the rest of this is the queue and the lobby area to get in and stuff. But um, I don't know. We liked it. We enjoyed it. Like I said, it was part of the deal. So we were sure we took advantage of it. I'll tell you that. We used it to its max.
We had quite the bill.
Oh, we did, and it didn't cost us. We not had to pay the tip for drinks.
We had to tip, yes.
It was, you could put so many of these kind of dinners, whatever. I can't remember how they rated them then, but higher level, expensive dinners. You could do so many of those on a trip with that dining plan, and we made sure we did. But on either this occasion or the next on one of these, it was included in the whole deal, so it was a really good deal. Hard to pass those up. I don't think they come around much anymore. Hey, R. Johns, welcome in. How are you this morning? Who else might I have missed in the last few minutes as I babble onward? Looks like I'm good. And Animal Kingdom, of course, had been around for a few years by this point, and I just took some pictures of critters because that's what I do. And I was trying to, not the most appealing view of a zebra, but hey, you take what you can get. And that I can't remember if this antelope at the bottom left is one of the gazelle species or if it's another one. I should know this. Mark would be not be impressed with me. And of course, the giraffe. And I had a picture that year. I believe it was one of the years that they had a giraffe born there. And this might be it. I mean, it was grown. It was like half grown when we were there this trip. And so it wasn't the year it was born, but they'd had one born there, and it was there when they were together, the adults, and that you could tell the difference. But that might be him, because looking at it now, it doesn't look as tall as but I don't really have a good reference, so not sure. Got a really good picture of the rhinoceroses, which I believe those are white rhinos, and I'm not sure, but I think those are southern white rhinos. I think there's sort of two subspecies of white rhino in Africa. One of them is much more endangered than the other. Both of them are in trouble. So, and this was.
I thought you meant they were from the south.
Yeah, they are. They have an accent.
Like from Tennessee.
Yeah. If you could hear them talk, they've got when they're out there amongst each other, they got a twang or drawl. And this is one of the silverbacks that lived in the gorilla area there. I have a photo montage made by my friend of critter butts. Every photo I took on one trip, all I got was the north end of the southern facing animal. I've been there. That's kind of what it's like. I mean, if you're going to take a picture, naturally they're going to be facing the wrong way. So what do you do? Take it or don't take it? So I took it. I didn't know this until recently, but one of these rhinos, I just read a book about this, so I'm not saying I know about them, but I know a little more about them. But the, this species has a small hump right here on their shoulder. If you look now, the other one doesn't have that. They're both white, which means they've got a wide mouth, and they're not white, obviously. As long as they aren't from Mississippi, can't understand most of that state's accent. So that's okay, Nico, because half the time I can't either. But anyway, I'm pretty sure those are the. Golly, I'm pretty sure that's the southern one. And here we got a crocodile.
Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Welcome in. Been a long time, buddy. Good to see you. Saw you and Gloria both in chat yesterday or day before. Good to see you guys. Hippos in the upper right picture with a North American great egret standing on its back. Not an African bird. It's funny how birds even here learned how to stand on their backs early on. Got some of course some ostriches down here in the corner and some warthogs over here. Pumbaa in this corner. Man, that one's got some huge tusks on him. And I just noticed something. I'm not sure what this is. Can you see? You can't see my cursor, can you? Right here.
Yeah, I can, yes.
I don't know what that is. Speaking of animal butts.
Point to it again.
Right here.
Oh.
Maybe it's just a rock. I'm sorry. When I first looked at it, I thought I saw a hind leg and a tail. So I think it's just a white streak on a rock, probably bird crap. And this is the front. I don't know why I put these in here backwards. I meant to move this one up to the front. So this is the entrance to Animal Kingdom. And I do know one reason I put this slide in here though. That ride right there in the upper right hand corner is no longer there, of course. And it broke down years ago, but that was probably Brenda's absolute favorite ride of all times. Most people hated that ride. I
Love
have
it.
a video somewhere of her taking on a Super 8 camera where she doesn't do anything but giggle from the time we get on till the time we get off. She had the best time. She about beat me to death. I think you could, I don't know if you can make it spin, but it did spin. And she laughed and laughed and laughed. Now tell them that's not true, Brenda, because it is.
Oh, it's so true.
We did that a few times, and
My favorite ride.
she really liked that ride. I mean,
I
there's
mean,
lots of things that she likes, but that
it
one,
threw us back and forth and round and round. We'd run into each other.
and she just laughed and laughed. Oh man, there's a gibbon down there in that lower corner, lower left, and of course this is Kelly and her ex standing there at one of the signs at the entrance of Animal Kingdom. And apparently, I've got more Animal Kingdom pictures.
Tell him about he got an addiction while he was down there. You remember it?
Who?
Um,
John?
her ex, yeah. He got addicted to doing things down there. Penny press.
Oh, Penny Press. Yes,
Oh, everywhere he went.
Yes, I forgot about that.
He was constantly bugging her for change.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He was trying to fill his book up, I think, before he went home.
Yeah.
The little, you get, I'm sure they still sell these. A little book you can put your press pennies in, see how many you can collect. Whirl and Hurl. No, that was, well, maybe it was. This was one where it shot you back through time and then brought you back to the present day. And it was just so much fun. And I got more pictures of it somewhere, but I don't think I put any in here. These are just, Animal Kingdom pictures, safari pictures, meerkat pictures. I don't know. I think those are wildebeest in that upper left. You can't see them. And these are kudu, I believe, down here.
Greater kudu or
Maybe. Well, I'm
lesser
not
kudu?
sure. Greater or lesser, did you say?
Uh-huh.
These are. I'm going to move right on to the cichlids. This pool of water is in one of the bird
Oh,
aviaries, I believe.
I
As you
want
walk
some
through one
more.
of the trails, and it's full of cichlids. And man, are they beautiful, colorful.
I love them.
And then I don't want people to think we just spent all of our money going to restaurants. We didn't. These were included in our meal package. And this one was, I think, one of our favorites that we went to. This was Mama Melrose's, and this steak right here was one of the best I think I ever had at Disney World. That looks like calamari at the top, and I'm not sure who had that, unless that could have been an appetizer,
Probably Kelly.
or maybe Kelly. Yeah,
She walks around eating seaweed all the time.
yeah. I like calamari. Brenda does it. So let me back up. I like fried calamari. I've never had it any other way that I know of.
I love octopus. I cannot eat it.
I only see orange when I think back, so I'm guessing that one. I don't remember a lot of it. Oh, wait a minute. What's she saying? My favorite ride as a kid was Mission to Mars. Well, now, I'm not sure how old you are. I'm going to assume you mean the Mission to Mars that was in the Magic Kingdom or the Mission Space that's in Epcot.
I think the
Because there were
one that went
two.
round and round.
Well, that was Mission Space, and the Mission to Mars I remember originally was
Oh,
in Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom, and I'm not sure how long it was there, but it was also at Disneyland. So John says calamari is awesome. I make my own, catch the squid. I bet I'd like to have yours, John. I am sure if you did it, it was excellent. So you were at the Real Mission to Mars then, because it was before Epcot opened. Rhonda said so. That would have been the original, and that was the
Oh,
classic where you were looking at you were sitting in an auditorium sort of and looked down at this giant TV screen. I suppose it was back then. It seems like it was round in the middle of the room, and you blasted off, and you could see Earth getting smaller and smaller, and then you could see Mars getting bigger and bigger. I think. And then you came back. Primeval World was what I call the twirl and hurl. That's it, Tina.
yes,
That
that's
is it.
it.
That's the other one. So
I
that's
don't
it.
hurl on rides.
No, Brenda just has fun doing stuff. She likes that kind of ride and roller coasters. She likes. I've not found her to not want to do a
Oh,
roller
yeah.
coaster yet that I can think of. But anyway, we liked Mama Melrose's. We thought that the food was good, and again, I don't know, is it still there? Is anybody that's been and they had hydraulics in the seats? Yes, they did. Yeah, they did, or something. Ron, I guess it was hydraulics. They vibrated and might have moved some. So, oh, I was picturing Mission Space. I don't think I ever did Mission Mars. Sounds cool though. It was pretty simple, Carol, but it was a neat ride. I mean, it was by by simple. I mean, rides today are so involved and so they have so much sensory effect going on. Back then, it was a lot of see it, think it, mental exercise, I guess, in some way. But I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Middle of the space race for a kid. It was. Yes, it was. That's right, Rhonda. That's exactly right. That's how I felt about it too. Yeah, Melrose is gone. I thought it was. I knew that. I know they've changed something. We like I said, we haven't been in a few years, and they've changed so much. And I hate that. I mean, I know things change. I don't want to go down that path today. I'll go in a rabbit hole I can't get out of because I hate it. I don't like change, but I'm not even sure how I feel about carousel of progress yet. But I'm trying to accept it. Not that anybody cares if I accept it or not. And this is just more food that we had and desserts. And I couldn't tell you what this was, but it's got a
Biscotti,
Scotty. I wonder what we're dipping it in there. Some kind of cream, I guess, and a
creme
strawberry
fraiche.
cream for it, maybe, probably. This looks good, so I'm sure this is what one of us were eating. Man, that makes me hungry right now. Steak and grilled broccoli or asparagus. Oh man! And here's just a couple of pictures of me and you. No kids. And I think these are all still the same trip. This was in living. I guess that's in the living seas because I don't. There wasn't anything else then that was related to um, the Little Mermaid yet. Well, there might have been a show in part of the studios, but it wasn't like now. And there I am in my bandana, and again I was wearing that because I was trying to keep some of the sweat out of my eyes. And me taking a picture of Brenda taking a picture of me. Somehow we both had cameras that day, I guess. And a picture of the top of Brenda's head. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. I had to put it in there.
Okay.
That's a pair of your Oakley sunglasses that we lost, or I can't
Oh,
remember what happened to that pair.
I bent over and they fell into my mom's toilets.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Go figure.
And there, Miss Pruitt is sitting there all proud in the Morocco pavilion, and me sitting with Roy having a chat, and down here at what they used to call this. This was it was by Splash Mountain. It wasn't Pooh Corner. It was but they had all the gifts were related to that to Splash Mountain back then. There was something about that store that we liked because they had something back then that nobody else had, and I don't remember what it was. And this was about the time everything started changing, where all the stores had everything in them. Back early on, if you went into Tomorrowland, the gifts and the souvenirs were about Tomorrowland, and if you went to Frontierland, they were about Frontierland. But that's all changed now. And there's another picture. I knew there was one more picture of us sitting in the front of the monorail with its control console there and its throttle and brake. And I thought the digital readout was really cool. Of course, that's so simple compared to the Briar Patch. Stan, thank you. Too much trivia. She said, Rhonda said, I typed too fast. Too much trivia. I get that, Rhonda. I get trying to do that too, trying to type things fast. And sometimes I go way too fast. And then sometimes I jump in there and answer something way too fast that I don't need to. So what did I miss here? He has a face under there. I don't accept. Monstropolis is taking over. Middle of the space race. Okay. I'm just trying to catch up on chat, guys. Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure how many more of these there are. This was this is at Wilderness Lodge, and this is in the Whispering Canyons Cafe. I don't know. Again, we probably like things. I've heard a lot of people complain about some of these restaurants that we've eaten at, that they didn't like them for various reasons. I guess we're not either. We're like different kinds of food, or we're simpler. I don't know. Maybe we just. But look at that straw I'm drinking with. That thing's about a yard long. Of course, the kids love to go here because if you ask for ketchup, this was the first restaurant at Disney World I remember where they did that. If you were sitting at a table and somebody asked the waitress for ketchup, they'd bring you like every bottle of ketchup in the whole place. Now they do that.
Everybody got up from their seats and brought the ketchup to you.
That's true. They did that. Yes, they did.
Yes.
And now they do that in a lot of places now, I think. But back then, this was the first one I remember doing it. And don't eat there. We enjoy places like that. Well, that's right. That's kind of how I feel about it too. I mean, honestly, if we were going back and we were there a lot, and somebody said that to me, I'd probably say, well, don't go there. That makes more room for me. Which may be kind of being a bit of an ass, but then again, that's kind of how I am sometimes. But I didn't put any pictures of the lodge here. But this may be my favorite hotel. We just love the Wilderness Lodge. We stayed there, I think, the first or second year it opened, and it was considered a moderate resort back then. It's not anymore, but when it first opened, it was. It was a little bit more expensive than Caribbean Beach or Dixie Landing or Port Orleans, whatever, but it was not bad. That's Animal Kingdom Lodge that Brenda's rocking in the chair there, and that may be from a different trip. I'm not sure about that one. And that's me. Anybody know what this guy right here is on my arm? Oh, Arjon said they ate there on Thursday. Nico said Ed DeBevics used this blueprint for the 50s Primetime Cafe in Chicago has done stuff like that for. Oh, okay. So it wasn't an original Disney idea, certainly. That doesn't surprise me, but that was the first place at Disney I remember doing it. That's what they call that? What they call that? My pal Mickey, maybe. But Mickey would talk to you as you walked through the park, as you got to different places. He would say stuff. So I told Brenda, I said, that's for kids, so I need to get it. I didn't get it, but you kind of borrowed it, and you walked around. Of course, you paid for it, but you walked around the park And he would tell you things like, Tomorrowland Speedway is around the corner, or just different things about the park. And I thought it was really cool. So I had to try it once. When I was at Disney World, I was never too old to do something. Maybe
You
too
were
young.
10. You were 10 years old
Yeah, that's
all the
about
time.
right. That's about right. And I'd be willing to bet that's our Coke sitting there too.
Probably.
And these are some more of those pictures from the early days of Animal Kingdom Lodge. Well, not early, because this was mid 90s or aughts, but and we've eaten there. There's a couple of places there we like to go eat. I guess Boma's. Is it Boma's? It was also a buffet type arrangement, whatever it was, and we've eaten there a couple of times. We always enjoyed it. They had a salad dressing there that I absolutely loved. It was a vinaigrette. I can't remember now. I won't be able to remember now what it was, but it was, oh man, I thought that stuff was to die for. I tried to make it at home several times. I never did make it taste the same. Do you remember what that was?
I don't.
It was sort of a yellow green color when you made it. It was, I can't remember.
Is that the African food?
Yes, some of it. I mean, some of it was regular, but yes, a lot of it had an African spice or theme. John says pass holders get 40% off at Whispering Canyon right now. Oh man, I'd like to
Good.
be there right now for that. Then I'd go. I would definitely go there and eat. Back to this pic, I had one of those "I'm never growing up" T-shirts that I wore for years. So they came from Disney World. And some more just pictures and boats. And this is at Polynesian. This might have been the year you and I stayed there for a few days, 3 or 4 days, and actually stayed in one of these. We had a room somewhere that overlooked this area right here, I think.
I wasn't feeling good, so I had a hard time
Remembering that.
really enjoying everything. But, and the other thing was, it was hot,
Yes,
horrible hot.
it was over 100 2 or 3 days that time. It was it was rough. I think this was after they changed the little boats too. They've been doing those. That was one of the very first things I ever saw riding when I went there the first time. We rode the monorail around to get to the Magic Kingdom. Well, you could go on the ferry, ride the monorail. I think we did both that trip to do them. Brenda wasn't with me. I was with somebody else and another family. And I remember these boats riding around in the lakes, and I always thought, man, I'm going to do that someday. So one day we did it. We did it once, never did do it again, but took the girls out and let them. I think they got to drive. Maybe they drove and I just sat in the seat. I can't remember now, but and we rented. You and I got a, but we rented one of the little boats with a canopy that year that it was so hot, and rode around the lake, and it was almost too hot, even with the canopy in the shade, and it was almost too hot to be out. It was bad. We thought it was horrible that year. Heat was. And it's hot here, but man, that sun down there is just something else. It's on a different level. And this says one of those early flower and garden shows that we went to. Richard, I wish I could get my husband to go when it's hotter than the surface of the sun. Wish I could get my husband to go when it's. You like to be that hot, Tina? Because I'm not that crazy about it. I spend a lot of time indoors when I'm down there. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I could look it up. Does anybody know what the first year of the Flower and Garden Show was? I mean, this was the first festival that I remember them doing, and now, of course, there's so many. And there, I mean, I always the next one I remember coming along was the food and wine, and I always said we're going to go to that one. We never made it, or haven't yet anyway. I would like to, but we enjoyed this one. Brenda and I like this one a lot. And at that first one that we went to, whether it's this one or not, I remember that in the Communicore area, they had a lot of booths with people set up. Do you remember? And they had, I remember one booth in particular where they were selling some kind of bamboo that you could, to put in your gardens or whatever. And we looked at that because you could buy a plant. Well, actually, maybe you made to be in a house. It might have been a small form of bamboo. And I remember we looked at that 2 or 3 times. I don't know what was so fascinating about it.
That's where I got addicted to pitcher plants.
Yes, that's true. I don't mind heat, but the humidity makes me feel like a pancake. Oh, absolutely, Rhonda. And here's the thing, Rhonda. Arjon can probably, I don't know, Arjon, if you've lived in Florida all your life, Richard, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know how people ever get used to that heat if they weren't born down there. And it's gotten so much hotter. But I mean, if you live in here, and we lived in Nashville and Knoxville, Nashville's hotter than it is up here. We've got a couple thousand feet altitude here that makes us a little cooler, but not much. But the humidity is horrible, and it's just he's a Maryland guy, okay, and, and it's just. I mean, I still don't. I'm still not used. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, and I don't like it. I'm not used to it. I don't mind it as much, especially if I'm inside the Whispering Canyon eating that 40% off. That's true, Tina. I wouldn't mind that either. Carol says, I don't love the heat, but there are enough attractions with AC to do it between. Yeah, we just made sure we always went from one air conditioning to another if we could. Well, that's true, Rhonda. I guess I didn't either. I mean, I grew up in a house with no air conditioning or anything, the occasional window fan maybe, but and open the screen or open the windows for the screen. And I'm sure it was hot then, but I didn't. I guess I just didn't mind it either as much. But as I got older, it became harder and harder. I mean, Chris is in Alaska now and whining he's hot when it's 63. And tell him to
Rip.
give it a rest. 63. But no, that's okay. I guess if that's hot, that's hot. Mark does get some heat, but he gets those 24 below nights, and he don't care if it gets a little bit warmer. I can't remember what that tree is up at the top with the yellow flowers, and I've been trying to remember that the whole time I've been talking because I know what that is. I don't know if that's a yellow wood or if that's something else. He acclimated. He acclimated though. It's been 40 and below for months. I guess that's true. We moved to Orlando 50 years ago today. I was 12 years old. So you ought to be pretty used to it then, I guess, Richard. I mean, compared to somebody that shows up from Minneapolis or something like that, although it's been hot up there too lately. Yeah. You know what Arjon's not, and that's a native, and there are so few native Floridians anymore. I've known several in my life, but even in the 70s when I lived there, even then people were starting to say, there's most people aren't natives here anymore. And that was in the 70s. So, and it's changed tremendously since then. I mean, when I first moved down there, parts of Florida were still pretty wild. My nose is itching. Does that mean I'm telling a lie or something? I'm not sure. I remember when they did some of these acts in the near the fountains, and which are also gone now. I'm sad to say, in Epcot, and there's that Lady in the Tramp Topi area. Bigger pictures of it, and my favorite picture of the riverboat, which is gone. That picture made me kind of sad. And Miss Brenda at the barber shop, and Baloo, one of my favorite bear friends. I also put this picture in. We had a brick there for a long time, and I guess they're gone. I'm not sure. I think they're all gone.
They're supposed to be sent to the people who bought them.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, we didn't. Obviously, that didn't happen. But it's Kelly, Jennifer, Brenda, and Tim, the Pruitts. And I could tell you, I could still tell you where it was at if it's gone. I don't know. Yeah, Rhonda, I can't either. Mike is one of the few native Floridians I know of. Okay. My best man at our wedding was a native Floridian that I went to school with down there when I lived down there. And that's kind of funny. I didn't remember it being as hot down there then, even though that back then they warned it, oh, the sun down here is more intense. So, wear your suntan lotion. We didn't call it sunblock back then. And, but I don't remember being that hot, but I wasn't there all summer either. I usually came home and worked in the summers, and then went back to school in the fall. Um, anyway, we were proud of our brick. We still have a plaque on the wall somewhere, or we have one. I don't know if we've got it up. We may not have put it up anywhere. Anyway, let's see. I think I'm almost to the end. So, look there, enough already. So I am done with that. So that was something really different that I don't do, and normally, but it was fun. I've actually wanted to do that for a while, and when I first started doing live streaming, I thought I would do more Disney stuff, but then I also became aware of how much Disney stuff is out there, and most of it was fresher than anything I could do at the time, so I just backed off from that. And we got a facsimile. A lot of them got broken when they were removed, but had to pay for the copy. Oh, really, Tina? I didn't know that. So you guys had one too. I wish I'd known that. I would like to have gotten one. We missed that altogether. Okay, I got to catch up on something here. Oh, Mike Wheeler. Yes, Mike Wheeler. Thank you, Tina. Um, he might be one of the few I know now, to be honest. I was trying to figure out what Rhonda and Carol were talking about, and I missed it.
A bunch of motorcycles.
Oh, he's talking about. I hear the motorcycles going by. Oh, I need to get mine out and try it. If it kills me. Oh, so anyway, guys, that was my little trip down memory lane for Brenda. I got Brenda to come on the show, sort of, and uh, make a few comments, and that was one of our trips. I've literally got hundreds, if not thousands, of slides of Disney World. Although I went through it one time, I think, and threw a lot away that weren't any good. Um, but then like I said, when digital cameras came along, I liked that a lot because I could put them on. I could download them on my computer and I could email them, and of course that's back before I was doing any of this kind of stuff. But um, it was fun. I miss going. I miss being there. I'd like to go back. Um, I'm sure that the day will come when we keep talking about it. We'd both like to just take a trip and get away for a little while and go down there for a few days and just chill. I don't even know how much riding type stuff we would do, but we would certainly um, enjoy the people
I'd
watching.
ride everything.
Well, you might. You probably would. I probably would too if I could get on it. But all I'm saying was we wouldn't go down there and bust our butt trying to ride everything
No.
like we used to when we were younger. I gotta find that story because now I'm gonna read that. I'm glad you did this, Tim and Brenda. I enjoyed seeing the old photos and thinking about Disney. Yeah, I tell you what, things have changed so much, and it's not just the change. I guess it's some of the other stuff. And I'm like I said, I don't like change much, so I'm that kind of a
guy.
I have to get used to things as they are today. What?
You're just that kind of guy.
I'm just that kind of guy. But so, what do you guys think? So, in the comments, you can put what do you guys think about the changes they're going to do to Carousel of Progress? Now they've destroyed the rivers of America and gotten rid of the paddle wheeler, and they're going to put in some stupid cars thing, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And I really didn't mind this the Tiana Song of the South swap over because I thought that wasn't so bad. Um, Different time period, similar stories, but the what was I just talking about? What does Carousel of Progress? That's just one of the last things Walt touched, and that bothers me a little bit. Not that that's going to matter. I guess the People Mover can always be his. Hopefully, will always be his another part of his legacy. But I do like that they're going to change. They're going to just update the time periods, and they've actually done that before. When we first started going, or when I first started going, it was different. And then somewhere along the way, when we started going with the kids and stuff, they did an update on the carousel. Didn't change it that much. Probably more update on the animatronics, and a few things changed about the time period, but mostly it stayed the same. I mean, and I think it's still going to stay the same theme, and so maybe that's not such a bad thing. I'm cautiously optimistic about the carousel product. Well, I am too, Carol. I guess that's how I am. I like the idea that they're going to update the same idea, and I think maybe that's appropriate. I think Walt would have agreed with that. I think he would have. He always said things would change, and even though he said that, I still struggle with it. But I struggle with it because I don't want to see everything that he touched be gone, and I feel like that's happening in many ways. Like Tom Sawyer's Island. I mean, that was it. He made sure that happened at Disneyland, and Tom, what's his name, Nabby, who played Tom Sawyer out there for so many years. I mean, that was a big deal with Walt to have that and make sure that was all the right atmosphere. Nico said, of course, the carousel was all about change. Well, that's true, and that you're right, Nico. That's why I think maybe it's not a bad thing. I think I'm going to miss because I miss the old of everything, but I do think the idea is right, and it sounds like they're going to keep that theme and that idea. And I think that's good. If they just closed it down, put a meet and greet in there or something, I'd be really upset. But the way it is now, I think it's gonna maybe it should. I think it'll be okay. I think change is good, but there seems to be only IP added as old attractions come down. Yeah, I think you're right, Carol. Some of the future is now the present. That's true too, Rhonda. Past, so of course it needs updated. And like I said, I think Walt would have gone along with that. Well, I mean, I don't disagree, Nico, and I think I I get part of why they changed that, but I think it had as much to do with making it an IP that kids and younger people could relate to than it did anything else. Because most people have never seen the Song of the South, they've never read any of Joel Chandler Harris's books, which I've read several of, and they're really well written. And I remember seeing a Disney special, a Sunday night show where Joel Chandler Harris was still alive, and they had him on there or interviewed him. He was an old man by then, but he talked about the books and the people that were in it. And I don't know. He was respectful about what he was doing. I don't think any of that was ever meant to be wrong. Um, I was cautiously optimistic about country bears, and I'm over. Yeah, I'm not real thrilled with that either. And with a name like Tennessee Bear, even though most people don't even recognize that as one of the characters, um, I'm not real happy about it. So yeah, I don't like it. I haven't seen the new one yet. No good. Well, yeah, Carol. I mean, I've seen videos of it or people live streaming it. One thing, it's really short, which I don't like. I mean, it's too short, I think. And maybe the other one never was much longer, but it seemed longer. Um, they don't do as much with the characters, and they change the songs, and Blood on the Saddle. I guess maybe was just too. Some people must have thought that was too violent. I guess maybe it could be looked at that way, but I guess I didn't look at it that way. But John said I had enough bears for 1 week. John sent me some pictures. He was out on the golf course up in New Jersey, and they had bears walking around all over the place apparently, which I think is pretty funny and interesting considering the how close that is to some major population centers. It goes to show you just how adaptable and how they're changing. They're adapting to live in that habitat. Bears, the wildlife will survive if you don't do something else about them. Not so much care they sing jingle. They sing Jungle Book. Why? Because there's a bear in Jungle Book. Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't noticed that, Tina. I'll have to look for that. That don't belong there. Now, Rhonda, you can't. I don't doubt that, and I think generally know where you live. You're in the mountains of North Georgia, or that area, I think. And I don't doubt that you're seeing bears because they are, the more what 35 years ago that some of the major centers of bear populations in the east were places like Great Smoky Mountains and mostly in the higher Appalachian area, and they've definitely spread out from there. And they got relocated. They moved a bunch in east to Middle Tennessee, and those bears have traveled from there back again and stuff. So okay, not in the mountains, but northeast Georgia. Well, you're still close enough that I can believe that. I don't doubt that a bit. And the people I knew that did bear research back when I was in college, they did a lot of stuff in Florida. They worked with black bears in Florida and Mississippi, and maybe all the way over to Louisiana, and I think some in Texas, a little bit. Not much. There's not much in Texas, but along the Gulf states, there are areas even down in that country where there are bears, just like Florida. Tina says they've had bear sightings in town too. We've been warned to keep watch over our pets. Tina, are they worried about interaction, or are they saying that the bears will eat their pets? Because that's generally not the case. Now, dogs and stuff could corner a bear, and yes, they certainly could hurt them and maybe kill them. But they're not going. I don't think they're going to come in for food. Now, coyotes could eat your cats, um, so that kind of thing could happen. But bears usually don't do that. Of course, there's a famous wildlife biologist slash game warden I know once told a lady on the phone. That's the thing about wildlife; they'll make a liar out of you every time. So I'll say that, and then I'll say maybe they would. Yeah, we have a lot of coyotes. I'm actually surprised that we don't see more coyotes around here than we do. Yeah, I didn't think so either, but the interaction part does make sense. Oh, I bet you do, Nico. You probably have them right. Well, I don't know where you live exactly, but Phoenix and some of those areas have had coyotes right in town eating cats and small dogs and things. I've seen a huge buck in Atlanta. In Atlanta, not Metro. That's pretty cool or interesting, Rhonda. when I grew up, I grew up 50 miles east of here, right in the mountains, right in the edge of the mountains. We had almost no deer. I never saw a white-tailed deer until I was in my 20s. I bet. And we just didn't have them. West Tennessee had them, but we didn't have them. Now we do, but back then they were just about gone. I mean, I have this theory that one, the chestnut blight really hurt wildlife populations, deer especially, and then you had the depression, so a lot of people were probably eating deer, and their populations got hit even harder, and so they were almost gone here. Anyway, Brenda, you have a comment? Do you want? Would you like to leave, babe? Are you through? We can say goodbye to you if you'd like to sign off.
I need to leave and get dinner in the crock pot.
Oh yes, well you better do that then.
If you want your beef stew, yes.
That's right. That's important. So anyway, thank you, babe, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Maybe next time I'll show my face.
Maybe next time. Well, I'll ask
Although
you.
they know what I look like. That's all the
I didn't
picture.
ask you very. I didn't give you much notice today. So
No, you didn't. But that's okay.
all right. Bye bye. Thank you.
I'm kind of like Patience. I don't really like surprises.
I get that.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye, babe. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, good morning, Michelle. You just missed Brenda. She just left.
Not going yet.
Oh, she's not gone yet. So we'll say hi to Michelle. She just popped
Hi,
in.
Michelle.
It's early, it's still early in California. All right, baby. Thank you.
Welcome.
I could probably turn you. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can remove you. Bye bye. And she's gone. So anyway, guys, I'm about to be gone too. It's a little early for me, but I'm talked out, and I'm going to do a few things here, and I've got a 24-hour race to watch. So that'll keep me busy for the next 24 hours. And that's what I'm going to do. Well, we got to do a few things around the house, but probably not a lot. I'm going to try to work in my library. I'm going to sell my couch. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got a couch here. And I like my couch because I can lay down on it and take a nap. But I don't use it all the time. I think I'm going to take it out and make more room. And if I do, I'm going to move a chair I have in the back. You can't see it either, but behind this bookcase on that side of the room by that bookcase there, the back one, that's where all my special books are. On the other side of that, I have in the corner, I have a chair set up, and I always wanted that to be the reading corner. I've got two old chairs that I got, wingback chairs that I got in the auction from the girls, and I think I'm going to take the couch out and put the chairs up here and give me more room. And what race, Nico? I'm watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So if John's still here, I'm in France today, John. Well, I'm not in France, but you know. Well, you got a moment, Michelle. Well, thanks for coming in. Sorry we're leaving. Maybe now I should hang around. I feel bad. I don't like to dump and run, although I'm about to need a biological break here in a minute. So, but yeah, it started a little while ago. Started at 9 o'clock our time, and I usually, now that I've got something where I can watch it, I like to watch it. I used to try to keep up with it on all kinds of different ways, but I can stream it, and I just found out a little while ago I can do it on the internet. YouTube's got it. The WEC, the World Endurance Championship, is one of the sanctioning bodies of that kind of racing in Europe, and they're showing it. I'm really surprised. They didn't used to do that. But if they don't show it, people over here never see it because a lot of people don't even know it's on. And it's a really big deal over there. So, anyway, I've always enjoyed that kind of racing. Like I said, my first car was a sports car, and I've just always loved sports car racing. I didn't like NASCAR most of my life. I did work in NASCAR for 2 or 3 years. I worked on building cars, parts of cars, fabricating race cars, and I worked on pit crews and worked in the pits and I went to every major racetrack that NASCAR went to for 2 or 3 years, except one. And there's one I never got to, but uh, but I've always liked this kind of racing best, I think. So now that I can follow it, the 24 hours of Daytona, 24 hours of Le Mans, and there's actually some other European races now that I can pick up that are 6 and 8 and 10 hours. So you know, it's a fun day, full day for me. What years? Which years, Michelle? I talked so fast. I talked probably past myself. Oh, race cars. I worked in NASCAR if that's what you mean. I did that in the early '90s, like 90, 91, 90, well, 90, yeah, 92. And those 3 years, and then I got hurt my back, so that was kind of an off thing. And then once I got laid off in '93, it was by then I had already stopped actually working on the NASCAR team. So, oh, what track did I miss? Watkins Glen. I never got to go to Watkins Glen, and I'd like to go to Watkins Glen to watch the sports car races. But that was one track I wanted to go to when I was on the team, and I never got to go. It was it was because of the scheduling and uh, getting us there, because I worked on the car in the shop and some others, but that particular car I worked on, and then I was on part of the pit crew, and I carried tires a year or so. I fueled NASCAR cars, put gas in them, that kind of thing. And they actually used to fly us. I didn't get to go to Sonoma, but they were I was in actually in Bush, which is part of NASCAR. It was Bush back then. I don't know what they call it now. And we didn't go to Sonoma, so I didn't get to do that either. But we didn't get to race that, so that wasn't part of. Yeah, Watkins Glen is up your way, Tina. I would still like to come up there. She was at Daytona. Oh, really? Oh, well, that's right. You were at Embry Riddle. I even got in the pits and was at 20. Oh, you were at the 24 hours. When I lived down there in the early '70s or mid '70s, man, I wanted to go to all that stuff, and I used to go hang around outside the racetrack and see the cars as they were unloading. Of course, that racetrack has changed a lot since then, but I got hooked on the cars in 24 hours back then. But I didn't get to go to the race. I didn't have the money to go to the race back then. I had to barely scraping by to get through school. And then I found out I could have gone in and sold drinks, beer and or probably soft drinks. And the way it was set up back then, they'd hire people like, or I guess you'd call it hire. They'd get people like me, a student, and if you were over 18, of course, and you'd buy a case of beer from them for $24 back then. And you got to realize back then in Florida, beer was dirt cheap, so $1 a can was a lot back then. And then we could sell them for $2 to $4 a piece. People paid a lot more for them inside the track. And we paid for our first case, and then we got whatever profit we made was ours. We go back and buy another case and do it again. I didn't know that at the time, or I would have probably signed up for something like that so I could have gone in and been there and seen the race. I was in town for Daytona in 2000 looking for a room because the place Ocala gave our room away. Didn't know it was spring break and Daytona race week. Yeah, a lot of things happen, Rhonda, all at the same time. They used to be. Now spring break's not as big a deal anymore in Daytona. It was when I was going there. It was still a huge deal, and they gave us a big long lecture. I'll never forget. I showed up at Embry Riddle. I don't know, Michelle, if they did this for you guys when you were there, but when I showed up in 75, 74, they gave us a lecture. First thing there, we had orientation. They got all of us inside the what back then was the student center, all the new students, and they gave us this long talk about what you do and don't do in Daytona, who the cops are, how many cops are, how quick they'll bust you. And one of the things and one of the things they told us was spring break happens. It's a big deal here. Don't burn the furniture. Don't go get furniture off hotel patios and burn it on the beach because we'll put you in jail for that. And they would too. It worked out as meant to. Ended up just driving up A1A and found St. Augustine. Well, that's cool. St. Augustine would be a better place to stay anyway. Spring break was huge in Daytona. My fraternity brothers were bouncers at all clubs. Do you remember what the drinking age was when you were there? It's probably 21 by the time you were there, because it was still 18 when I was there, and we had a pub inside the student center at Emory Riddle back then. I don't know if that student center was gone by the time you were there or not. 131 miles is nothing, though, Tina. That's cool. If I ever get up there, I'll have to swing by and say hi. No, they could. No, they couldn't. I don't know, Nico. That's a good question because I didn't know if they probably could bring it in, but everybody didn't bring it in, so you could still sell it to. I mean, there are a lot of people at the tracks that don't know you can take beer in. I don't know how, and today it's stricter than it was then, even. But I don't know. I don't know about that, Nico. That's a good question. That's been a long time ago. But that was one of the things they offered. I mean, even I've been to races, many races, where I sat in the stands as a fan, and we could take beer in with us, and they still had people walking around, selling beer to anybody wanted it. We ended up sleeping in the SUV. We're going to take a dog to a rescue, and we're going to go to the beach for a day. Oh, okay. Well, you were there for valid reason, valiant. I remember sitting on the bridge in Daytona for at least an hour to get to the beach. Oh, that can happen. Yes, indeed. I've been at Bike Week and car during the whole Speed Weeks thing a couple of times when we had to do that. When we went to Daytona on the race team, and we had to stay way outside of town, even in the early '90s, and they had reservations, a year in advance, and we were still staying way outside of town. Oh, and that's one thing we did do that in spring. One of the things they did in spring break back then, the Bush Series had a race just outside of Daytona. Also, a few weeks after, seems like it was a few weeks after Daytona, at one of the small county. They had a race. They had a speedway, and we raced there a couple of times. And that was during spring break. And I know the other guys went into town, and they said it was horrible. They went to Daytona, which is probably 25 or 30 miles maybe from where we were at. Yep, 21. The student center was still there. Okay, I think there probably is a student center. Did it still have the pub in it, Michelle? Do you remember? Because I've told people that, and they've looked at me like I had three heads because that's not a thing anymore. Well, it may be now that they sell beer at football games, but the student center, when I went back to UT, they didn't have anything. You didn't buy beer in the student center or in the whatever they called it. Now, when I was younger and I had friends that went to UT, they did. They had an area called Ratskeller, and down there, it's kind of in the basement. You could buy beer there. Probably still 18. We could drink legally at 18 back then, so it was different. Sounds familiar, the pub, but not sure. Oh, okay. Um, what have I missed here? Let me go back. It was a it was a big thing, and I mean, like I said, when I went down there, they gave us this big speech and several things they wanted to make sure we knew about. My pub was the frat house. Okay, gotcha. Spring break, bike week, speed weeks. and the cops. That were the four big things they wanted to make sure we knew all about. And in fact, they had a couple of cops there to give us a lecture. And don't burn the furniture was one of the biggies for spring break. If you ride a motorcycle during bike week, you might want to hide it, especially if it happened to be a Harley Davidson. Because I didn't. I was riding a motorcycle, but I had a Suzuki. Nobody wanted that. I mean, the people that were at Bike Week didn't want that. That's not what they did. Back then, it was still Hell's Angels and that kind of stuff at Bike Week. It had not tamed down much. It changed a lot over the years. When I used to go with Phil, it was much tamer. Um, it's still pretty wild at times, but it was much tamer than it had been. Ohio raised the limit in '86, I think. All my friends were grandfathered in, and I had just missed it. Oh, man. Sorry, Rhonda. Those were the best weeks of memories to be there. Best place to go to college. It was it was fun. If I'd had a little more money, I'd have enjoyed it a whole lot more, I think. But I made it. I see things down there now, and I see, they just did a big celebration. Michelle, I don't know if you knew, was it last year? 75th anniversary, maybe, of Embry-Riddle, or maybe the 100th anniversary, because they started out as a flight school, and I remember pictures hanging in the hangars where I worked, where I was learning, how to work on them. They had pictures of the early flight school down there where they were flying small tail draggers like Cubs and things, and they would store them nose down. They'd actually lift the tail up against. They'd roll them up against the wall. And anyway, you'd have to see it to understand it probably, but I'd never seen them stored that way. Uh, but that was in the early days. But anyway, they just did that, I guess last year maybe. And I thought about going down there, but of course, I feel like it's been so long since I was there. They probably wouldn't even have me. I've got Embry-Riddle annual back here somewhere. You have been in so much trouble. Rhonda. I had a friend, one of the guys I went to school with. He went to jail one night because somebody this was during spring break or bike week one, probably spring break. And he went down to the beach to where all the bars were. I don't think he was down Main Street. I don't think he was actually at the beach. Well, maybe he was at the beach. But anyway, somebody broke into his car and they took a brick and threw it through his window, broke out the side window in his car and got in his car and stole his tape player and I guess radio too. But back then we had tape players that hung on the bottom of the dash. We were still listening to 8 tracks. And they stole it, and he called the cops, and they came out and just laughed at him, and he got so mad that they ended up taking him to jail for abuse to the cop, I think. But they were tough, they sure were. I managed enough trouble in the cornfields in Ohio. Oh, Rhonda. Oh, guys. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to let everybody go. And I appreciate you hanging around. I enjoy the after talk just as much as doing the show. I'll probably be back on track next week and talk about something entirely different. I think my old football coach went to Embry. Really? He had a crazy life. He was struck by lightning 2 times. Oh, my word. He was also shot while hunting. Jesus. I guess if he didn't die, he must have had a lucky rabbit's foot in his pocket or something. Anyway, guys, I'm going to cut you loose, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks for hanging around. I don't know what I'll talk about next week. I may be looking for co-host. If anybody wants to come on one weekend, let me know. I think Mark's going to be busy a lot this summer. He and I were talking just briefly yesterday. I didn't know he wasn't going to be here yesterday, but I hadn't talked to him in a few days, and he's going to be doing some work for one of the ranches there local this summer, and I think he's going to be off gone on weekends a lot. So we may not see him for a while. I'll talk to him this week and find out exactly. But I'll get back on track. It kind of looped yesterday. I was kind of trying to think of what can I talk about. What can I talk about? I'll be back on track. I'll get back there. But anyway, thanks guys, and everybody have a great weekend. What's left of it, and if you get into anything, don't get into trouble. If you get into trouble, make sure it's good trouble. And we'll see you next week, guys. Bye bye. And I'm going to stand here and wave until this goes off and I see it's a wrap, even though it probably makes me look really silly.